if you ever give me this child, if you ever give me this child, tell me that I should go with her, I would definitely ugly people like me. Hi guys, I'm here today again with another video. So guys, today is just gonna be about story time, life experience story time, my personal experience that I have experienced. First of all, let me just tell you guys, I was once told I was ugly. I grew up almost my teenage years being told how ugly I was. Not my teenage years, yes, up to my teenage years being told how ugly I was. Until then, when I started gaining my confidence back when I was about 15 years, between 15 and 16. Started gaining my confidence, hearing boys telling me how beautiful I was and all that. See guys, now I had to hear from a boyfriend that I was beautiful, or from boys that I was beautiful. Can you see why other girls end up dating at the early stage? That's the other reason why you should never tell anyone they are ugly, especially if those people, they are your siblings, because you'll never know how they are treated out there. Treat them well, treat them right, don't give them killer comments. Always your comments must be motivating to them. It doesn't matter how upset you are. And I also wanna, this will also help those who are facing that problem whereby they're being told they are ugly, or maybe a child, you are facing such a problem whereby people are busy telling you how ugly you are, all that and all that. I want you to be strong, and I want you to know that I'm standing right here. I am one of those people who grew up people telling her that how ugly she was, and everyone's like, everywhere I would go, everyone would be telling me how ugly I was. The only thing that would be noticed about me was like how ugly I was. And yeah, I was very young that time. I didn't know anything, and that made me to be so quiet. I think that is one of those things that made me to be so quiet, because I didn't feel comfortable about myself anymore. I wasn't confident. I was afraid to face people, and I was very shy, because of, I think that was the problem behind my shyness. Why I was shy? I was very shy, guys, because everyone would tell me I was ugly. I was ugly. I was ugly. I was ugly. At school, they would tell me how ugly I was. No one would want to play with me because everyone thought I was ugly, because I was told when I was young I was ugly. So I want you to know, wherever you are watching this video right now, you are facing someone who grew up without any confidence, because she thought she was ugly, because everywhere she would go, everyone would be like, you ugly, you ugly. Kids wouldn't want to play with me, guys. I was like, I won't say I was ugly, because I didn't see myself that way, but that's what people used to tell me, because every time I would see myself in the mirror, I wouldn't see that. But everywhere I would go, everyone would just tell me how ugly I am. I was very young, from grade 1, guys. You can imagine, primary school, all kids, I didn't have friends, let me say, because no one wanted to play with me. They would just tell me how ugly I was. And the other thing, I am my grandmother's child. I was raised by my grandmother. I was never raised by my own parents. I grew up not knowing my own parents, because I was raised by my grandmother. My mom left me when I was really young, really, really young, to see who she was, how she looked. I grew up not knowing who my mom was, who my father was. I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother wouldn't even tell me about my mom or my dad, because she feared one thing, that maybe by telling me those things, I'll start having questions as a child. where are they, whatsoever, all that. So my grandmother raised me as her own child, and she didn't want anyone to remind me about my mom or my dad whatsoever. I just grew up as my grandmother's child. Okay, so you can understand, as a child, being in the village with your grandmother. Sometimes you go to school, no lunchbox whatsoever, because my grandmother, I come from a very, very poor background, guys. Like, my grandmother was trying her best, but I wouldn't go to sleep hungry. Every day I would eat before I go to sleep. She would make a plan, like she would always provide for me, God was there, guys. I don't want to lie. All praise I give to God for giving me such a great grandmother, an angel, So yeah, my grandmother is an angel, guys. I know she's no longer there. She's now in heaven, and I'm so sure she's got a best seat there. She's got such a gold heart. Wow, my grandmother, guys. Like, in my family, no one forgets about her. They know how beautiful she was in and out, So yeah, guys, that's the kind of environment I grew up in, So yeah, I was very shy. I was scared to face people, but I had to go to school. I had to play. But it was hurting all the time. People telling me how ugly I was. Like, it was so hurting. I was hurting. I was bleeding inside. But I don't remember myself as a child opening up to my grandmother, telling her how much people were telling me I was ugly. It's like I would hear it will hurt me, but then I would push it at the back of my mind. Like, I would just try to forget about it. As a child, I wouldn't even want to talk about it, because it's not something that I believed as well. But I was asking myself why so many people will say I'm ugly. Yes, I know, as a child I was doing everything on my own. Like, from the age of 7 years, I still remember I would bath myself, going to school and everything. Like, I would bath myself, I would do everything on my own. So you can imagine, sometimes I remember there's a day where I went to school, I forgot to wear my panty. So I went to school, guys, without no panty. Like, I forgot it. So yeah, I even like, I would fix myself, guys. I would bath, I would fix myself. I remember sometimes I would bath, and still at school other kids would tell me how smelling I was, blah 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 blah, I would bath, guys. I don't know how I would smell so much that other kids would even see me smelling ugly. It was hurting, it was so hurting. But then look at yourself on the mirror and tell yourself you are beautiful. You are beautiful. And the more you tell yourself that you are beautiful, is the more others also will see it, that you are beautiful. As long as whether yourself or you believe them, then you also gonna see yourself as ugly, I would, guys, I used to love bathing, because I thought, okay, bathing, I would bath so much that my grandmother would even tell me, you know what, you're taking too much when you bath. I was bathing, guys, so much, because I was trying to bath that thing that was making them say I'm ugly. I was trying to wash it away. You can just imagine, like, scrubbing yourself, trying to make sure that you don't smell, trying to make sure that, and I was not even I was still very young to even use perfumes, roll on whatsoever. But even if I was old enough to use them, I don't think I would have had them that time, So I would bath, guys. I would scrub myself, trying to take away that ugliness. I didn't have a mirror at home. My grandmother didn't have a mirror for us, guys. Like, I would stand by the window to check myself every day before I go to school. I'll comb my hair, I'll comb my afro hair, guys. I would comb it and comb it. After that, I would make sure that I look clean, guys. I was like always looking very, very clean at school, looking at myself. But surprisingly, people tell me at school, you're smelling, you're ugly. Kids, other kids, they wouldn't even want to play with me. I don't know what was wrong. Okay, fine. As I was facing that embarrassment at school, my mother arrived home. Guys, you can imagine the joy. A child going to meet her mother for the first time after the mother left her with her grandmother when she was really young, like when she was a baby. Now I was about to face my mother. I was about to see my mother. My mother arrived home, and when she arrived, I didn't know who she was. I was the only one at home, but I didn't know who she was, you know. So I just helped her pack in. She had so many bags, she had so many kids, she had much furniture to bring inside the house. So I was helping her. I still remember my grandmother was at the funeral. She went with my aunties. So I was helping my mom get inside the house, which I did not even know she was my mom. She didn't know who I was. I was helping her, and when I was telling her, no, there's no one inside the house, everyone went away. But I was surprised because she was saying, Mama, where is Mama? She was addressing my grandmother as her mother. So even though it never came into my mind that could be my mom, like I was just helping her. So my grandmother arrived home, found my mother there. Everyone was happy, my aunties were happy, everyone was happy, guys. Wow, you Sissy, you back home. Everyone was happy, like, you Sissy, you Nabile, Sissy, finally you back home. Like, it was a happy moment. Like, wow, it was so much joy. There was so much joy that I was also very happy. Okay, as a child that time, we're not allowed to be just around older people talking. So as a child, as soon as my grandmother and my aunties came in, I went out to stand outside. But even though I was outside, I was listening, you know, picking, you know, when someone new, you know, you want to know who is this, what's up about this person. She's so beautiful, you know, everything about her is different. She doesn't look like the village people, she looks different. You know people around your village, you know, okay, yeah, that is who, and they look different. They I mean, what can I say, they look normal to you, like, you know what I mean. But my mother, like, I was like, yo, she looks different. Hey, I could tell she was not coming from anywhere near there. So guys, I wanted to know. So I was standing by the door as a little child. I think I was 7. Yes, I was 7 years old. I was standing there listening to the conversation, and then I heard my grandmother and was like, hey, that child you left at the hospital is here. I want to show you. Where is she? No, she was the one here with you who was helping you with the bags, who was helping you. You didn't see her. And my mother was like, no. And then my grandmother called me. I went in, guys, excitedly, thinking, wow, I'm gonna keep getting hugs, you know. I'm like bumping inside, you know, having those butterflies. Ooh, thinking you're gonna be getting a hug from your mom, all that for the first time, guys. Yo, I was so like jumpy, excited. I went inside. As soon as I got inside, her face changed, like, and then she started shouting, this one. My grandmother was like, yes. And then she was like, so ugly. And then my grandmother was like, huh, yes, she's the one. And then she was like, you know what? She looked at my grandmother. I became so scared of my mother. Like, guys, I became so scared, and I became so scared from that day, immediately. I told myself, my mother is my grandmother. My mother is my grandmother, because as I grew up with my grandmother, I could see at school other kids, their parents are younger. Why is my parents so old? It's my grandmother, not my mom. So there should be my mom somewhere, I told myself. And I thought, oh, my mom one day will come, and people around will be telling like, your mom this, your mom that, your mom is beautiful, your mom this, your mom that, people around the village. So I was waiting, guys, all those years. I was on the waiting list, like of all the people that were waiting for her arrival. I was one of them, waiting, thinking, oh, I can't wait for her arrival to see her. And I also, like, I would sit and, as a child, I would sit and imagine my mom. I would sit and imagine my mom. Sometimes, I remember sometimes my grandmother would beat me, disciplining me as a mother, she would discipline me. And then I remember that at the time I told my grandmother, I was angry, crying. I was like, you're not even my mom, you're my grandmother. Oh guys, I shouldn't have said that. I was young. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that, Shem. I was waiting for my mother, guys. I don't want to lie to you, but then that's how I met my mother, guys, for the first time. Hello. Okay, guys, so it's sad, I know. That's the first impressions like my mom gave to me. That's how I met my mother for the first time. She told me exactly what other kids at school used to tell me, how ugly I was. Oh my God. Since that day, I told myself, wow, my mother is my grandmother, and there is no turning back about that. Fine then. Fine then, my grandmother, because she never told me I was ugly. I remember my grandmother used to even do my hair. Like, my grandmother was trying. She did her best. She did her best, but you can imagine, as a grandmother, she did her level best as a grandmother. So you didn't expect much, you just had to appreciate everything she did, you wouldn't expect much. Like now, nowadays, when you look after your child in a different way, you wouldn't let your child even play on the floor whatsoever. Like, my grandmother tried her best, guys, to look after me. So yeah, that's how I met my mother, guys, for the first time. It really hurt me so much, but it was the first time I met her, and I didn't have any bond with my mother. So I can tell you it hurt, but it did not hurt me much, because already I was never used to her. It's not like she first gave me a positive attitude and then later gave me negative attitude. She just showed it from the start. She didn't pretend. She just opened up. She just showed it to me directly that, this is who I am, and I'm not willing to be your mother anytime. So yeah, then I went on like that. But then you can imagine the awkwardness in the house between me and my mom, besides me, because I was just a child. You can imagine the awkwardness with my mom. She left the child at the hospital thinking that no one will pick a child, it will just be taken by a stranger and that's it. But then the child was taken not by a stranger but by her own mother, and that child was raised by her own mother. So you can imagine, you wanted to get rid of a child, and jiggy out of the blue the child is grown and in your own house. So yeah, we stayed in one roof for those I don't know how long. If I remember very well, I think it was just few weeks. Yeah. So the only experience I remember, staying with my mom in one roof, who didn't want to be my mom, but I had to stay with her because it was her home. I was raised by her mother. So she had to be in her home, and I had to be in my home because her mom was my mom. So the awkwardness, guys, it was too much, in a sense that every time she passes by my presence, she would just want to hit me with anything she had on the hand. If she was doing washing, whatever she would be holding on her hand, doesn't matter how hard it would be, she would just want to bump me with it, like, you know, and pass. Every time she passes by me and pass, like, you can just imagine that treatment to a small child, like, who didn't know anything. You never even explained, like, why, but you just said, because you're ugly, I can't be your mother. You are ugly. You are ugly. Stay away from me. Like, you are ugly. Like, yo, guys, can imagine first impressions. Fine. My grandmother, who loved me so much, she spoke to me and said to me, my child, please understand, in life, not everyone is gonna be for you, but you are the family. You are family, and family will always be family. And you are all my children. And there is no dustbin for a human being. Just because my child is crazy, she's out of her mind, I wouldn't take her and throw her in the dustbin. Just because I want to make you happy. She is my child. You are my child. So my child, she said, so my child, I want you to understand that you also, when you are grown up, I want you to know family is family. You cannot choose a family. Family will always be a family. But don't forget that not everyone is gonna be for you. But still, even those crazy ones, there is no dustbin for them. For there is no dustbin for a human being. Those were my grandmother's words, and then she was done. Wow. Then what happened is, my mother had to move out of the house because at the end of the day, the treatment that she was giving me, because whatever she did, bad treatment towards me, as much as she was there as my mother, my younger auntie, which is her younger sister, my mom's younger sister, felt like, you know what, no, this is enough. Enough is enough. You left the child, we raised the child for you. Now you are back. You don't want nothing to do with the child. No. My auntie stood up and said, no. You are going to take care of the child, like it or not. Because my mother will take clothes for all her children, iron clothes for them. Even the ones who were older than me, because I had two siblings that she left with my grandmother, who were older than me, brother and a sister. But because she knew them, so obviously she didn't have a problem with them. But because me, I don't know what was wrong with me, but she didn't want anything to do with me. So she would iron clothes for all her children. But for me, she wouldn't. She will make sure they're all bath, they're clean. She will help them. You know, if you want your kids to look nice and beautiful, bath properly, you know, even I'm a mother, I've got kids. If I let my kids bath themselves, they don't look clean like when I bath them myself. You know, they wouldn't even do their hair like the way I do it. Like, so she would help them out. We're used bathing ourselves and all that, but because she was there and she came with the other kids, so she didn't want the kids that she came with to look better than the ones that she found there. So she would definitely bath them together, fix all of them, just so that they can look all the same, you know. But she would leave me behind. She wouldn't do nothing for me. So my auntie was like, so who do you think is gonna do for this one? Huh? For us again? You left this child there with mama, and now you want us to be the ones again doing it, because they knew one thing, that if she couldn't do nothing for me, obviously my grandmother wouldn't say much, but would tell them, hey, help the child, do this and this and this, help her, since the mother can't help her. But then the younger one stood up and said, never, no ways, that will not happen. Your time is up, madam. You're gonna have to look after your own child. You are here now. My mother made a big fight with her sister, younger sister. She ended up moving out of the house. She packed furniture, everything she came with that was making my grandmother's house look, you know. She packed everything, guys. She packed everything. She went with it. She sold it on the streets. She sold it on at the street where we were staying, the same street opposite our house. She sold the furniture there. She prepared herself. She took all her kids. She took them. She went different province. And then that was how my mother went out, and my grandmother was crying. Her tears were falling. And to see my grandmother crying like that, wow, it was bad. It was terrible for me. I remember looking at her and crying, helping her cry, because it was hurting for me to see my grandmother crying like that. Not because I was blaming myself about what happened, like I wasn't blaming myself about what happened, but then I was feeling bad for my grandmother. She didn't deserve all that. So then, after that, my mom moved out. She took even my siblings that I was staying with, my older siblings, which is my sister and my brother. She went away with them because they decided to take their mother's side. Reason being, I think, you know, when they were thinking maybe they would have a better life with their mom. As for me, I don't think, even if she didn't treat me the way she treated me, I would ever choose. I don't think I would have chosen my mother over my grandmother. I don't think I would have done that. No. I don't think I would have done that, no. To be honest with you. So immediately when my mom went, she asked me, said to me, you wanna go with me or you wanna stay? Because you can imagine a mother now being told, look here, you have to take care of your child whether you like it or not, as long as you are here. So now she was thinking in her mind, oh, this is what I was told, and now I'm taking only this, I'm leaving that one, and they're forcing her to me. And then she came to me, she said to me, are you going with me or not? I am going out of the province. Are you going with me or not? I said to her, I'm so sorry, but I am not going anywhere with her. I am staying with my grandmother. This is my home. That's what I told her. Then I went quickly to the room to my grandmother. My grandmother was like, what? You didn't go? And I was like, where do I go? My grandmother was like, with your mom. Then I told my grandmother, Mommy, I am here to stay. This is my home. I am not going anywhere with my mother. My grandmother was like, oh, okay. And then we moved on. Life went on normally. Went on normal, yeah. And then my grandmother got sick. Like her health was not as it used to be. She started getting some hiccups from when she also lost her job, and then she was also not feeling well, so she started her own business at home, in traditional clothes and selling them, yeah. And then she thought, okay, she called me, she told me, your mom called. There was no phones that time, but I was surprised. My grandma said my mom called to say she wants me to go join in Cape Town. I was like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And my grandmother was like, you have to go. I spoke to your mom and you have to go, because now, as you can see, things are worse on my side. I'm not working and your mom is not assisting me in any way. She's not assisting in any way. She's got our contacts now. She knows where we stay. She just left here, but she's not assisting in any way. I'm thinking, you have to, guys, you have to go stay with your mom. I felt like I was being chased away from my own home, guys. Like, imagine having to go and stay and get used to someone who, even when she was leaving, she even took a school shirt she gave me for the fact that I told her I was not going with her. She took even a school shirt she gave me that was smaller, was bigger for the younger sister, my younger sister. She gave it to me, and some few panties, few dresses. When I told her I was not going with her, she took everything away from me. So now my grandmother was sending me to the same person. So guys, I felt like I was being chased away from home. Guys, there is no place like home. There isn't no place like home. So I had to go stay with my mother, even though I never wanted to. But I had to go. Guys, hey, woo, it's a story of another day. It's a story of another day, because being told was ugly was like now an everyday thing at home, at school, at home, at school, at home, by my own mother, and at school as well. I was still receiving the same comments at school. My mother at school, my mother at school. I only rested when I heard boys telling me I was beautiful. Like, I was like, wow, I said it, I was beautiful. Why are these people saying I'm ugly? And I started having confidence to myself. I started fixing myself. I started bathing even more. Like, if I see something nice, I would save it, because my mom was working, was a maid, working at as a cleaner. So sometimes she'll be given these clothes, the clothes that her bosses didn't wear anymore, they would give to her. So we'll pick from there and wear. Yeah, so I would wash them, whatever I get, because she was very careful also. She didn't want to give me anything nice, like nice. She just wanted to give me those that she would think that she wouldn't even give to her other kids, then she'll give to me. But then I would make them look nice. I would wash them. If they are big, I would try to do something, stitch them there and there, make them nice and wear them. So yeah, the rest is a story of another day. Like, guys, yeah, see you guys on my next video. If you want to hear more about me and my mother relationship from then, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and comment. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Ntombi kamamngwevu here, as always, loves you.